Hey beauty babes, I'm Racquelle and this is Perfected Beauty. In today's video, I thought I'd show you how I wax my eyebrows myself at home. So no more going to the nail salon and paying $8 to $12 to have your eyebrow waxed. I show you exactly how I get these results at home. I'm starting off by using this cleanser to clean the area that I'm going to wax. You always want to make sure that you're starting off on clean skin so that the wax adheres properly. Next, you want to make sure that your wax is at a proper temperature for waxing, and this is going to vary with the type of wax that you're using and also what kind of warmer you use. But I decided to show you what my wax looks like so that way you have a visual aid of the texture of the wax. You don't want it to be too loose or runny, but you also don't want it to be too thick that you can't apply it in a thin enough layer. So this is a pretty decent consistency. And then of course you always want to test the temperature of your wax before you apply it to your face. Also, before waxing, I like to mark out the shape that I want my eyebrows to be so that I have an idea of where I'm going to be applying the wax. So to do that, I make sure I get my eyebrows brushed up and out of the way, and then I use an eyebrow product to basically draw in the lower border of where I want my eyebrow to be after waxing. And then I know that all the hairs below the line are the hairs that I'm going to wax off, so I'll apply my wax right up to the line that I've drawn on, and then I'll have my ideal brow shape. I like to really take my time with this step and make sure that I'm drawing them in carefully because number one, I want for my eyebrows to be even, but also once you apply that wax, whatever is underneath of it is going to be gone. You're not going to get it back. So I like to take more time beforehand, marking it out carefully, making sure I'm getting the shape that I want versus after the fact, taking off too much hair and now having to figure out how to fix my mistake. For my brows, I like to use a thin angled wooden stick, and here I'm just testing it on my wrist to make sure it's not too hot for my face, because if it's too hot for your skin here, then it's definitely going to burn your face. I like to load my stick a little bit at a time because if you put too much on at once, then when you apply it to your brow, it can pool up at the base of your brow. And then when you go in with your strip to remove it, it can spread into your brow and take off more hair than you originally intended. So in order to avoid that, I like to apply my wax a little bit at a time. And you always want to make sure you apply a very thin layer of wax, because if you apply your wax too thick, then it can become more difficult to remove, and it can also take off extra layers of skin instead of just the unwanted hairs. So once you have a nice thin layer of wax laid down, go ahead and put your strip on top of that. Give it a good rub to make sure your strip adheres to your wax completely, and once you've got it adhered nicely, pull your skin taut and swiftly remove the strip in the opposite direction of how you applied the wax. So when using soft wax, you want to apply the wax with the growth of the hair and remove against. For underneath the brows, I like to use a new strip every time I'm removing the wax. I just feel it's better safe than sorry, and sometimes when you reuse the same strip to remove the hair, the wax that's left over on the strip will remove hairs that you didn't necessarily intend to take off. So because of that, I like to use a new strip each time underneath, but you'll see when we move to the top that I don't do that. I just use the same strip to remove the wax. Here's the other side, and it's a bit of a closer look so you can see more clearly how I'm applying the wax in the same direction as the hair growth, and then once I apply my strips to remove, I'll be pulling in the opposite direction of the hair growth. Once I'm happy with the bottoms of my brows, it's time to move on to my unibrow area. Now, it may look like there's not a lot of hair here, but trust me, removing these little hairs makes a big difference in the end. So make sure to pay attention to the direction of hair growth here as well. And remember to apply the wax in the same direction as the hair and remove against. So I'm giving it a good rub, and then I'm going to pull in the opposite direction of my hair growth. While I'm here, I also like to clean up the fronts of my brows and just take a little bit off. They sort of grow a little wild at the very front, so I just like to clean that up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to both sides. Again, applying the wax in the same direction as the hair and removing against. Then I move on to the tops of my brows, which is a little less pressure for me because I don't have quite as much hair to remove. So I just brush them down and make sure none of the longer hairs get caught in the wax, and go basically around the tops of my brows and just take off all the little peach fuzz that grows on top. If I'm in a rush, sometimes I will skip this step just because the hairs are so fine. But if I have the time, I do think that this makes a pretty significant difference in the overall look of my brows, and it just gives them a much cleaner look. So while the hair is much finer and thinner up top, I still do like to make sure I remove it because it makes you have a more finished looking brow. When using soft wax, you only want to go over each area one time with the wax to avoid bruising or tearing your skin accidentally. So because of that, once I've gotten all the major areas done and the bulk of all the hair removed with the wax, I like to go back in with tweezers and just remove any stray hairs that I didn't get the first time around with the wax. So I just take my tweezers and I go around and fine tune my eyebrows. The next step for me is to remove any wax or wax residue that's left over on my skin, and for that I just take a small drop of jasmine oil and rub it over my brows and anywhere else that I waxed to make sure I remove all of the remaining wax residue. After that, I take the same cleanser that I used in the very beginning and I just clean off any of the excess oil so I don't leave that on my skin either. And then lastly, I just like to brush my eyebrows downwards and trim off any of the hairs that extend over the line that I created on the bottom of my brow, just to give it an extra clean look. And that, ladies and gents, is how I wax my own eyebrows at home. I developed this method through so much trial and error, and it hasn't always been perfect, but I'm super happy with this method that I'm using currently, and I think my eyebrows came out pretty great, if I do say so myself. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with a friend. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.